Welcome everybody to Ufo Man Live. We want to thank you very much for being patient and waiting for our guest to arrive. Today we have a special person with us, a person who has had a lifelong experience with ETs, and we are going to dig deep into her story. Please welcome Barbara EBERHARDT. Welcome, Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
She comes all the way from Germany, so it was difficult, but we got her here, and it was thanks to Polly and Sarah for their hard work at bringing her on screen.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yay, troubleshooting.
And I want to say thank you to Jim Hallahan that gave us the contact. So thank you.
Okay.
So much.
Yeah. It was a large effort today. We made it. We're here, and I'm glad to. And just wanted to say, Tim, I'm glad that you're going forward and you're going to rebuild UFO Man better and stronger than ever because shenanigans ensued and Plan B. So
yes, I was hacked by 8 hackers out of Cambodia.
You don't tell all that.
They locked me out of my account, so I can only access it as a user or a subscriber, not as a creator. So I restarted the channel as UFO Man Reloaded, and I can show you what that is here.
And
this is UFO Man Reloaded.
Pinned in my chat is the link to his channel. So if you could please go ahead and go to my channel. Those of you who haven't subscribed yet to it, it's pinned there at the top. You can go strictly to his channel for all your UFO needs.
Right, and she also made a commercial for me that's like 8 seconds long. So I'm going to play it.
For proof that we're not alone? Welcome to UFO Man Reloaded, your one stop for all your UFO needs. Hit subscribe and join the mission.
There you go. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, tonight we're going to dig into some really interesting stories about the alien hybrid program. Barbara, can you first tell us a little bit about yourself, starting from the very beginning?
Okay, well, I was born in 1943 in Berlin, Germany, during the bombings. 1 hour old, I was rushed into the bomb shelter, and that's how my life began. Later on, my family immigrated to Canada for a while, and then we came back to Germany. And then, I met my later husband, and we moved to San Francisco. I lived there for about 20 years. Then I moved back to Germany for 10 years, and then 85 to 95, and then 95 I moved back to California and just came back to Germany in 2023 because now I'm getting old. My son lives here also, and so I'm back in Germany now. A lot of moving back and forth, but until I was 75 years old, I had no idea about. I mean, I always believed that we are not alone in the universe. And, I heard about UFOs and this and that, but it was kind of you know about it, you hear about it, but I never thought about it. And when I was 75 years old, I was here visiting in Germany. I was still living in the US, visiting, and I had a download. And now that was staying with my daughter-in-laws and stuff, and I had a download at night, one picture after another, very intense, I was in it, like putting a thread through a needle, and then next thing I was on a horse galloping over a plain, and I was underwater, and it was forging metal. That it was crazy, and I couldn't stop it, and I couldn't get out of it, and finally I just blacked out. And I came to in the morning.
I would like to take a second in that download, just because I would like to tell to our audience why your story is so even emotional for me personally. I feel that you are a kind of a follow up of my own story. I was taken to the hybridization program, helping all those women and babies that were just
Mm-hmm.
born. They were
Mm-hmm.
all hybrids. But in
Mm-hmm.
your case, you were taken even further to the nurseries. And in your case, as mine too, everything started with a download. Could you
Mm-hmm.
please just kind of describe what were you doing in that exactly moment when you felt that download? Were you awake? Were you asleep? And what happened around you? How did you feel it inside your body?
Well, I was, like I said, I was visiting here in Germany, and I was, my son's in-laws, the neighbor had a little apartment that I was in. I went to bed, and I don't know if I was asleep already, but I don't think so. It was kind of in the in between, when you go over slowly into sleeping,
Yeah.
and then this happened. It was so intense, so uh, I was physically doing everything. So I finally just blacked out because I couldn't cope with this. My physical body couldn't cope with it. And I came to in the morning, and I was totally exhausted. And I called my son over, and he came over, and I broke down and cried. I had planned 3 more weeks in Germany. He flew back a few days later to California. I said, I'm coming home with you. Under these circumstances, I cannot stay alone in Germany because I thought I was going crazy. What else can you think? And so when I came back, and I lived in Northern California, and I just remodeled my whole property. I had 5 acres there, remodeled my whole property for old age. My house, the steps not too high, so you can walk up the steps and stuff like that.
Mm.
And I had just remodeled the whole thing. And I was going to die on that property. It was beautiful. And when I came back with my son, the first thing I said to him, I'm going to sell the property and move to Willits. That's the next town down. And
Which
I
is
have no
also
idea where
very
this idea came to.
interesting because in my case, I was redirected too. After
See?
the download, I had a very strong feeling that I need to leave Colombia and I came to live in Israel. I didn't know why, but I just took that decision, like feeling it very hard, like very,
Hmm.
it was like an instinct. I need to go. So
Yeah,
that redirection happens a lot.
yeah. I didn't even think about it. The idea had never been in my head before, but I walked onto my property and said, I'm going to sell the property and move to Willits. No, next week I went down and looked for, they had some senior living apartments there. So I applied for one, and then I started dissolving everything. My property, I mean, I had, like I said, 5 acres, and there's a lot of stuff that accumulates. So I started selling off everything and this and that. I was totally convinced that's what I had to do. I
Yes,
never
that's
had
the
the idea
feeling.
before. And
What did you see during the download?
well, it was, like I said, it was one thing after another, very intense, very fast. The first thing was, like I said, I was trying to put a thread through a needle, very concentrated. Then I was sitting on a horse galloping over a plain. I can't even ride, but I was sitting on a horse galloping on it. Then I was forging metal. I was in a metal thing, and the sparks were flying. And the next thing, I was underwater, and then I was in the universe, floating around out there. It was one thing after another, and it was so intense. That,
Yes.
like I said, because I was doing it all, then I finally blacked out.
Could they have been showing you past lives?
Um, I don't really know what they showed me. Um, I don't know, but
And
it was
showing you
very
that you're
intense
much,
because I was doing everything. I was like riding
maybe,
on the horse. I was I was just shaking and everything, and
maybe
it
they were
was.
trying to show you that you're much more than what you are.
I don't know what they tried to do
Well,
with me, but
well, maybe it wasn't so much that you were doing these things, but the symbolism behind these activities. Riding on a horse is like a powerful thing. Being able to forge something is creation. So maybe it was more like that, right? It was like these are the things that you're good at, and that's why.
I don't know. I can't tell you, but I blacked out. And like I said, the next day when my son came over, and I totally broke down. And I said, I'm coming home with you. So I went home early. And that's when I said, I'm going to sell my house, just out of nowhere. I mean, the thought, but I was totally convinced in my head. That's what I had to do. That's what they put into my head. And I do believe they did that because I was very attached to my property and I loved it. And it was up in Northern California, around the redwoods and stuff. And it was really beautiful. I could see the mountains, and it was really beautiful property. And so they wanted to detach me from that because otherwise I would not have started to travel and do things. I would have stayed on my property. And I was, like I said, I was going to die there. So they had
So
to
you moved,
get me away from that.
and what happened?
Then I moved to Willits, and somehow, after I sold the property, I had a little money, and so I decided, oh, I'm going to do something crazy now because I need to get out of here. So I signed up for Contact in the Desert. That big
Yeah.
UFO conference. I don't know
Yeah.
why I signed up for it, but it sounded good. It was 5 days, and I was going to get away from home, and and
Mhm.
just and then when I moved to Village, the first thing I did was on my computer. I went to Amazon to check out some books and order some books. And one book just jumped on my screen. It was Chosen by Yvonne Smith, and I don't know, yeah, that one, that Yvonne,
Yeah.
and that book just jumped up on my screen, and I said, "Oh, that looks interesting." Put it in the basket, and when all the books came from Amazon that I had ordered, that's the first one I read, and I was so fascinated. And she was a speaker at Contact in the. I contacted her, and she said, "Well, I'm a speaker at Contact in the Desert. Let's meet there." And we met there. And after Contact in the Desert, I just followed her to Pasadena and had my first hypnotic regression. And that's when I found out that I've been taken. And now
Wow.
I've had about 30 hypnotic regressions with her over the time, and because I'm German and I need to find out exactly what happened. I had 5 so-called miscarriages in San Francisco. The first one was kind of a real one, a lot of cramping blood, and then the little fetus came out. But the other 4 were, I was pregnant, 3rd month, and went to bed in the evening, feeling fine. Woke up in the morning, there was a little blood, and the fetus was gone. And the doctor had no idea. They didn't know what it was. The fetus was gone. Okay. And everything was cleaned out. It wasn't, they didn't have to scrape me or anything. So they couldn't figure that one. And then finally I had my son. But later on I found out that they induced the first miscarriage. And then they wanted to harvest me, they said. So the other 4, they took the fetuses. I have 3 girls and a boy up there. Jaw is the boy, and Septi, Rafti, and Kamu are the 3 girls.
So did they induce the pregnancy because it was your husband?
No, it wasn't. They took the first one. I don't even. No, not even the first one was my husband's, because under hypnotic regression, I went back to when I was impregnated the first time. It was already done up there.
Wow.
And then the other four, they were all. I was all. They were all Pleiadian DNA that I was given.
I was going to ask you.
Not DNA. I mean, semen.
I was going to ask you, Barbara. The email you sent me the last time, it actually was sent from your son, but it said, sincerely, Scar. Who's Scar?
That's not me. I don't have anybody named Scar.
Because it said that you couldn't attend the live stream, and it said Scar afterwards. SKR. SKAR, Scar, and we kept the email.
SKAR. I don't have anybody by that name.
Okay.
No abbreviation either.
Well, we need to check that. Well, maybe for our public to understand, the last time we wanted to interview Barbara. Well, maybe Barbara, if you would like to share with us what happened, because maybe you were taken just before the live, you know?
I don't know. So, I'm still being taken now. I have a how should I say? I'm being taken up on the ship at times, and I've also been taken to the Galactic Federation. I'm working with them now, and there I'm being taken out of body. I used to have a ring that had my sleep patterns, and I could tell from the sleep patterns where I was. If I was just, everything was just a little bit in the blues, or I was just sleeping, lying, my body was lying here. Yeah, that one. That one, exactly. And and that's when I was at the Galactic Federation. My body was left here, and I was going, I was out of body there. And the other one on the left side with a lot of red underneath, that's when I was taken to the ship. And I found out also on the ship, the oxygen is different than we have here on the planet. So after a certain time, my white lady, Uru, she's a Pleiadian. She's always in charge of me when I'm up there. She comes after a while and says, it's time to go. And I found out, I asked one time, why do I have to go now? Why can't I stay longer? She said, because the oxygen level on the ship, if I stay longer, it's not enough. We have a higher oxygen level here on the planet. So I would have oxygen deficiency and have health issues. So then they send you back after a certain time.
That makes a lot of sense. So the ring being on your finger, they never noticed it.
No, they didn't do anything about it. It doesn't work anymore now, but it was good for a time. I got it from a Swiss doctor that he was interested in my implant, and so he gave me that ring. But I don't know how long he's had it, and he just handed it to me. So it finally gave up its.
I want you to take us for a second to your hypnotherapy, where you discovered that actually you met the aliens for the first time when you were 3 years old.
Yes.
What happened?
They came and healed me. I was we were living in what is formerly East Germany. It was in 1946. I was 3 years old, and was just after the war. The Russians had come through, and they brought the pox, the Russian pox, we call them.
Right.
And so we were all infected. And one night I was then, and my mother always told me, don't scratch because it gives those big pock marks, on your skin. You have those big scars. So I was standing in my little crib bed and just waving my nightgown because the cool air underneath helped ease the itching. and,
Yes.
and I was shaking it, and through the window, we were living in a farmhouse under the roof in a little apartment. And through the window, there was a light coming, and it got bigger and bigger. It came through the window, floated through the window, stopped in front of me, and two little beings materialized. And I thought that was so cool because I've never seen anything like it. Under hypnotic regression, you're like a 3-year-old again. And they had a box, a black box that had a red light and a green light on it, and they flickered. And I thought that was so fascinating. And they went over my whole body with this box. They just went over my whole body. And then they left. And the next morning, my mother was all excited. She said, and she was a nurse, so she knew.
Oh.
She said my fever had broken, and my pox started to heal. They were nearly gone. She said, "What happened?" She couldn't believe it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So that was the first contact I had.
Yeah. I wish they would have done that when I had chicken pox. That was awful. That killed my nose. Wow.
And we had the Russian pox were even bigger and more intense. And you got those huge pockmark scars on it.
Yeah. So when
and the other time, then
no, please go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, and the other time that was really they took me up in between because I found out under hypnotic regression that I had that we were about 6 to 8 kids up there that they brought up, and there was a girl with me. I called her Curly because up on the ship everything is telepathic. So I didn't know her name. I didn't have to know her name. I just knew her, and I called her Curly. And we were very close together. Every time we were up there, we were always doing everything together. And I met her now in later life, in my 70s in Las Vegas. I met her on some UFO conferences. She was doing, she had a table and she was selling things, and she was doing also hypnotic regressions and things. But we met and we knew each other. And she was the girl that I was on the ship together.
That's really neat.
Wow.
That's amazing. What can you tell us about that black box that they used to heal you? Because
I don't know anything about it.
That black box many times.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I just remember that it was a black box and it had a green line and a red line, like a light, like a strip of light on the top, and they were blinking. That's all I know. And I thought it was so much fun because, as a 3-year-old, you think it's funny.
Well, scientists now are saying that you can heal yourself by changing your frequency. So perhaps the light was working on healing your frequencies.
That could very well be, yes.
Because you're healing to start.
Yeah.
And what you mentioned about the oxygen inside the craft make me think also about why sometimes we see them with helmets, for example.
Well, that I don't know, but could be. Yeah.
Try to take us now to the hybridization program and the nurseries. What happened after?
Okay, well, I'll tell you, first of all, they took 4 of my fetuses. And one time I was up there, I asked there's always this, like I said, this Pleiadian lady, her name is Uro. She's always responsible for me when I come up, already as a child. And the Pleiadians, they get to be about 1,000 years old, so our 80 years, it doesn't make much difference to them. It's just a little episode. But so now I lost my train of thought.
We are going to
Oh yeah, to the
they
baby.
took, yeah.
When they took my babies after the third one, I asked her what happened to my babies, and she took me in the room where they had the babies hanging. They weren't fetuses. The fetuses are in glass bubbles in the wall, and they're very small. Yeah, that's it. Those are the glass bubbles that they're in the wall. The whole wall was full of them. You can imagine how many women were losing their fetuses. And then after that, we came into a room and they were hanging from the ceiling, that one. And we went, the whole room was full of them. And the umbilical cord went through the roof, through the ceiling. And so we walked through some rows, and then all of a sudden she stopped in one of them and said, "This one is yours." And so
Wow.
I put my hand on it, and it was warm and very soft. It felt very soft and warm, and kind of like a little bit like velvety, the skin. But so it wasn't smoother. It wasn't really smooth, but it felt really nice and soft and body temperature, you know. So I put my
Yeah,
hand on it and sent all my love into this little thing. And
which is amazing, I have to say, how we can, even in my case, when I met the first hybrid child that picked me up during my experience,
Mhm.
I felt a profound feeling of motherhood. Like, this child is mine. And
Mhm.
I love him till today, like he is my boy.
Mhm.
So it's amazing how they can, maybe our empathy is so needed here to
Yeah.
love those kids and show them human love, you
Mhm.
know, which
Yeah.
is
She
also
was,
what we did.
Well, the
she,
thing is, also like on my ship there, they tend to keep the children from one woman. Like in my case, I had four of them up there. Um, they were always brought together. They were very close together because I was 3 months pregnant. Then they took the fetus, and I was again another 3 months pregnant. So in
Yes,
age, they were very close together,
yes.
and they had realized that if they keep them as brothers and sisters together, they have a belonging. They have a feeling of belonging. And that
Hmm.
is very important for children to know that this is my group, this is my family. And so they on the ship that I'm being taken to, that's how they do it. And so I was brought up with all my children together a few times, and we would sit on the floor and we would play and talk, and they would ask me, well, how do you get from one point to the other on your planet? And I said, well, if it's far, we fly. Well, that they could understand. And then I said, when it's not so far, we have cars or motorcycles or bicycles, then we can just go there. They couldn't understand that. What they never
Oh
seen a
yeah.
motorcycle or car
Can
before.
you
So,
give us an example of a game that they play?
oh, that was a good one. Okay,
I know.
I have one son here. I have one son here on Earth. That
Mm-hmm.
was the last one that I got. And one time they took us up together, and so we came into the room where all my other four children were together, and they had light spheres, like little light balls, and they were juggling them without touching them, just with their energy. They were juggling them around in the room. And so we come in, and my son here, and he was all excited. And they came and inspected him because he had curly hairs, and they'd never seen on the ship. Nobody has curly hairs; they all have straight hair. And and then they gave him also one of those spheres to play with them. Well, of course, he tried, and he doesn't have the energy to. So when he threw it up, it came down again on him. And he tried it a few times. He couldn't juggle it. And then finally he got upset and he just threw it down. And then it started bouncing from the floor up to the higher and higher and higher. And it bounced off the ceiling and it bounced off the wall. And the others looked, wow, it can do that. So then they threw all their 4 balls down and we had all those balls around me. That was funny, yeah.
That's so amazing.
Can you describe the nursery?
The nursery is actually a big room. But they have what we call the cribs. They look like eggshells, basically, in a way. They're a little bit larger on top and they ease down a little bit on the bottom. And the baby's lying there. And that's the room. And one time I asked them, I've never seen them being fed. How do they feed them? So Uru reaches into the rim of the little crib and reached in. I don't know if she pressed a button or something, or if it just, and anyway, a hose came up and it kind of circled around the head of the baby and then plugged into it, into the mouth. And then the baby started sucking. And then, and I asked them how, and they said, they all get fed at the same time. I guess they can activate them all at once, And then I asked them, if they feed, they must have, they have their diapers or whatever, they have to go. And so she said, the crib itself opens at the bottom, and they have like a bodysuit on, and the bodysuit opens in the back. And then everything that needs to come out is sucked out from the baby. And they have sensors. The bodysuit has sensors, so it knows when it has to open, when the baby has to go. So everything is just sucked out, and then it closes, and no dirty diapers. You see, everything is gone.
Well, that's really good. I like that. Okay, we do that here. Let's reverse and do that now, guys. Let's get on that. I don't need to do it with cell phone.
It makes the life simplest when you have a kid, for sure.
I did nanny work, man. I know.
I wanted to show a picture of Polly's nursery that she was brought into, which is this here.
Oh, cool.
What we see here is inside the craft. I could see I was in a kind of an ER where women were having their hybrid kids, and my task was to help the women bring the hybrid kids into the world and check the hybrid babies. But not only, I feel my empathy and my love was needed to hold those babies and kiss them and even sing for them and show them human love. Why do you think they need our empathy and our human feelings there for those babies?
Well, that's what they told. That's why I'm being taken up in the nurseries. I got my chair there. I got that about 4 years ago. And I came up, Uru said, I have something for you. And she brought a very tiny chair. And I said, I'm supposed to sit on that? She said, yeah, sit on it. And I sat on it. And as soon as I sat on it, it grew on me, and it molded itself to my forms. So it was very, very comfortable. And it was always ready for me there. And I would be in the nursery, and then I will have a little baby in my arm and talk to it and play with it and cuddle it. And then after a while, a gray one would come and take this baby and bring me another one. So I do the same thing with that one. And so they found out that the babies do a lot better if they have human contact.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, on Earth, our kids themselves have to have lots of, human contact to, not
exactly.
be messed up growing up. So it only makes sense that in a species where they may not have emotions, they would need a substitution for that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I actually
And
heard.
the other hand, it makes me also think about the fact that maybe it's kind of an upgrade for humanity, because I think sometimes our technology and all the craziness going around the world is making us lose the humane side of who we are as human beings. So maybe those hybrids come actually as an upgrade for the humankind, where they can, where is kind of they understand the other side, but still they need the humane empathy to upgrade human people towards a more empath society. Is
Okay.
that so?
Well, there's another. That's a one thing that I can that I was told um, but that comes from the Galactic Federation. They told me that our planet is ready to um, divide into two, and they said the core is like in a cell, in a human cell. The core is going to divide, and then the rest is going to divide, and then you have two. Um, the one part of our planet is going to stay in the third dimension. The other part is going to go into the fifth dimension. The third dimension is those are very, third dimension people. And those are the young souls and the dark souls. They stay in the third dimension because the young souls, they have to learn a lot. And the dark souls are the ones that start with fighting and wars and stuff, which the young souls have to learn about.
Yes.
So they're going to stay on the third, and then the rest of us, we're going to go to the fifth dimension. And that is basically what's happening kind of now. That's why all our weather and everything is going kind of crazy at the moment. All over the planet, you have different.
It's
So
very,
it's
very
a matter
hot
of
here.
consciousness.
Yeah,
It's a
and
matter of consciousness.
it's a matter of what?
Consciousness.
In a way, probably could definitely could be part of that. But yeah, anyway, our planet is going to divide and split up.
The physical structure of the Earth is actually moving into the fifth dimension. It's
Yeah.
not just consciousness level. Our
No, the
consciousness
physical.
is going along with it, but the physical structure is moving.
Yeah. Part of
And-
it, one part is moving and the other part is staying in the third dimension because it's needed here for the young souls to learn.
And our leaders are trying to say that it's because of lunar drift that the core is shrinking. And I tend to believe what Barbara's saying. It's not lunar drift because the moon has been in the same spot forever. It moves maybe a quarter of an inch every 1,000 years. So that's not going to really affect our core. In regards to something I wanted to say is the eggshell containers, when the babies were in the eggshell containers, you made a comment in an interview I saw that they looked a little bit Asian.
They do. Well, there's different types a little bit. There's some Asian lookings. When you see the whole room, there's also some that you can tell they're from black people. They have
Right.
there are also some that are hybrids with reptilians because I've had them with a little tail and little 3-finger kind of claw thingies and stuff, and but they're babies, so I cuddle them just as I do the others. So there's different types of hybrid babies. There's also some Arcturian hybrids. They have bluish skin, and yeah.
That's really interesting.
They're all cute and they're all babies.
So they're
And they
doing
all
that.
respond when you have them in your arm and you cuddle them and you play with them and you sing to them and whatever. Yeah, they all respond beautifully.
So, do the babies as well talk in the mind, or do
Yes.
they use words? Do any of
No.
them use words?
It's all no. It's all telepathic because otherwise, what language would you teach them?
Well, I mean,
Right.
it's cool, but I mean, they could be assigned to certain areas of anywhere and have
Mhm.
learn that dialogue specifically for that area, right? That's why I was wondering,
No.
because I would just see that as more of a benefit because I mean, you go around just whispering in people's minds. Sometimes they don't like that.
I have to ask one question. When you were on board the ship, the big ship,
Hmm.
did you ever see any writing or symbols on the walls or in the corridors or in the rooms or anywhere?
No.
No, so it was completely smooth.
No. Yes. I have not seen any writings at all. Um, the only time when I see symbols or something is like one time I was taken in a small uh, saucer, a saucer kind of ship. I was taken up to the big ship, and Uru came and said, "We have something to do." So we went into a huge hall, kind of hangar. There were all kinds of round UFOs there, and towards the side was a little bit bigger one. And we got there, and there was a Pleiadian guy, and there was an Arcturian lady with blue skin, and a reptilian, and they were in that UFO. And we got there, and the Arcturian lady came to me and said, "Would you help us rescue a hybrid baby?" I said, "Of course, of course I'll help you rescue a hybrid baby." So they took me into the ship, and the Pleiadian guy, there was like a map, like a top, like screen sort of top, like a tabletop where you can see all kinds of things. There were symbols and stuff on that, and he showed me. He said, the baby is hidden under a bush, and he said, turned around to me and said, "That's what you call Australia." I said, "Oh, okay." And I've never been
Wow.
to Australia before. So he said, "Yeah, the mother has been killed, but she hid the baby under the bush before. And so we're going to go and rescue that baby." So, and while he was talking, all of a sudden he showed me on the tabletop thingy there. He said, "See, um, here's the bush where the baby is under. There's a dried out riverbed in front of it, and we're going to land in a kind of like a little ravine sort of thing. You're going to land there, and you walk through the riverbed and bring the baby." And so that's what we did. We landed there, and I walked down this. I don't know what they did with my feet because I could not feel if they put an energy cloud cover around it because I couldn't feel any of the thorns or stones that I
Yeah.
walked on.
Wow.
And I went through the riverbed. First, when I came out of the ravine, I looked right and left to see if there was any dingoes or kangaroos around. And then I walked through the riverbed on the other side and found the bush, and there was this little brown baby lying there. And they told me that the mother had been killed because the natives there are very black, and the baby is lighter brown. So they knew that it wasn't their own; it was a hybrid somehow. And so they accused the mother of having had something to do with maybe a white person or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so they
Yeah.
killed her. But before she was killed, she hid the baby under the bush. And so I went and brought the baby back, and the Arcturian lady, she right away took it and put it in a crib and stuff. It was really cute. Yeah. So I've
Wow.
been in Australia, see?
There you go.
Aborigine hybrid.
Yeah, an Aborigine hybrid. Yeah.
Well, that's a beautiful story because
Yeah.
that means they come and, they try even to save the hybrids from here. Like, that's a rough situation. That's
Yeah, it
very,
is. It's a rough situation, and it was funny because I don't remember any of this myself. My brain is all here. So in the morning, I woke up and I was so happy. I was laughing to myself. I was happy. Um, so I said to Yvonne, I have to have a session because I have to know what happened last night, and that's what
yeah.
happened. So, and another thing I want to talk. I don't know if I told you about Nano Okuro.
No.
No.
Okay, that is a strange thing too. Um, I I was sleeping in my bed, and then in the morning, when you're half asleep still, you're slowly coming to, and I found myself saying loud to myself, "Nano Okuro, Nano Okuro, Nano Okuro, Nano Okuro." I said, "What the heck is that? How do I didn't even know. I don't know what it means. Nothing." So I got up and I wrote it down, and later on I checked. Well, nano are the tiny, miniature little particles, right? Nano
Yes.
science.
Oh.
Yes.
And Okuro, I found out, is a nanoscientist in Japan.
Oh.
And he actually works in Singapore now at the university, but he's a nanoscientist in Japan. So with the next hypnotic regression, I said to Yvonne, let's go to that. I want to find out, how did I get that name? How did I get that connection? I had no idea. How can I wake up saying that? So I was on the ship and I was taken to a room. There were kind of a lot of, I would say, like scientists, all different shapes and forms, but they were scientists. And the walls, the whole wall there was a big map of our planet. And there were dots on all the continents. There were different dots. And they told me those dots show nanoscientists. There was also one in California that I met before. He checked out my implant and stuff. And Stephen Colburn is his name. But they had all those different nanoscientists marked on the map. And they said that they're trying to decide who to give the next step of information to. They want to advance in nanoscience on our planet, and they want to give the next step of information to a scientist. And then they turned around to me and said, like we did with Einstein. Remember, Einstein got his relativity theory overnight. So they
Wow.
gave that into his brain overnight.
Oh my
So that the
God.
relativity theory. And that's what they told me. They're looking for a nanoscientist to give it to. And so
Wow.
they were looking at everything, and then they decided they're going to give it to the guy, Mr. Okuro, in the Japanese that works in Singapore. They're going to give it to him. So then we were all standing in a circle around, and they told me they needed me there because I was the link to our planet. I was a human link. So we was all standing in a circle, and we were all saying nano for the science and Okuro for the scientist. And they, in their heads, of course, they knew the advanced science they're going to give him. And I was just there as a link. So we were all standing there and saying nano for the science and link to Okuro, nano Okuro. And I woke up in the morning saying nano Okuro. I had no idea what that meant.
That's
Wow.
incredible.
Isn't that
That's
crazy?
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
So has there been an advancement in nanotechnology?
I don't know. Well, I once sent him a little email, but I didn't explain why. I just wanted to find out if he had gotten any new ideas. He never answered me, of course. Having an old lady from Germany ask him if he got any new ideas.
He's like, not that I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I didn't explain myself properly. I said
Can you explain about your body mark, how you got it, and your visit to the Bigfoot planet?
Tim, do you have maybe my mark? Can you show it to Barbara? Maybe she can recognize it.
I don't
If
have it
you have
right
it,
now.
you don't
I
have.
have.
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah. Yvonne told me to document all my marks, and I did. I have a lot of marks I had a lot of marks that I found over the
So I
time.
have a question about the marks. Are the marks something that we get, let's say, in purpose, or if it's something that happens during the manipulation of, our bodies and what's your
Um, some of it is something that they did, that they inserted in me, but a lot of it is most of it was on my arms, you know, and a lot of it came from the babies. When I had the baby, I once found pinch mark under my boob here, because when I'm up there, I'm in my pajama, right? So I don't have a bra on. So I was
Yes.
taken up there, and in the morning I said, oh, it kind of hurts here. And I looked, and there was really like a pinch mark. So having the baby in my arm, probably the little hand got under my top of my pajama, and so it kind of held on to my boob.
Okay,
Yeah.
I do have Polly's mark. Here it is.
No, I haven't had anything like that at all. Mine are. This looks like a paw mark.
Exactly.
Yeah. I
It
haven't
looks
had
like
anything like that at all. Nothing like that. I don't know how I can show you those.
I got your mark.
You got my marks? Yeah, that is one of them. That's the one I got when I was taken by the bad guys. Was left of that. Yeah.
Talk about that experience too.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fascinating to me.
That was funny. I found the mark on my arm, so I told Yvonne, let's go to that night when that happened. And under hypnotic regression, I was sitting. We did it over Zoom here, the regression, and I had a young guy with me that he filmed the whole thing. So because I wanted to have a record of it, and so I was under the regression. I was sitting in my chair, and then I said, the first thing I said is, "This isn't right. This isn't right." So Yvonne said, "What isn't right?" And I was pinned to a board that wasn't straight. It was a little bit leaning back, and I was pinned to it, and I couldn't move. And the whole room was kind of darkish, like on our ship. Everything is light and kind of beigeish yellow. It's always a good feeling when you're there. And that room wasn't that at all. And all I could move was my eyes, right and left. So I said, "This isn't right." And then I called out to Uru, to my Pleiadian white lady, and telepathically I said, "Uru, this isn't right. This isn't right." And then I heard her answer, "I'm coming." And the next thing I know, after a little while, and there were little grays doing their thing around, and they didn't bother about me at all. They did their thing. And so then she said, "I'm coming." And after a while, she came with 4 very tall gray ones. They were like maybe, I don't know, 8 feet tall or something like that. And they came into the room, and they took me off this board, And then the four big ones, they surrounded us, and we walked away. And the little gray ones in the room, they just squished against the wall, and they didn't do anything. And so then we walked away, and they surrounded us, and I blacked out. And the next thing I know, we were on our ship, and I had to go into it was like a tunnel, like a roundish thing, like a tunnel, and it had very intense blue light in it, very, very intense blue light. And I had to walk into that, and it felt really good. Oh, it felt so good. And then after a while, Uru says, "You can come out." Do I have to? It felt so good in there. So, and I came out the other end, and there was a round disc above us, above me mainly, and it had yellow and orange light, and it was pulsating. And I had to stand under that for a while. And then after a while, Uru said, "Okay, now you can come out." And I said, "What is that all about?" And she said, "You had radiation poisoning from the other ship. And we had to neutralize it." And she said, "I'm not going to take you to the babies today. I'm going to bring you straight home." Yeah, that was that.
Is that when you got the mark?
That's when I got the mark, yes. From the others, because they pinned me to that board, and apparently they used something to hold me. I don't know what they did.
Do you know why they took you to begin with?
They weren't supposed to. That's what I think.
would imagine.
I think that part of the implant is probably that other aliens know that I belong to that ship, because
well, that's very interesting what you are saying, because I have kind of a theory, I don't know, but my implant, in my case, when they tried to extract it from my nose, it was the implant was inside the cyst, inside my brain, behind my nose. And when the neurosurgeon tried to extract it, it exploded. I almost died during the surgery.
Yeah.
So, one, do you know why the implant kind of destroyed itself? That's one question. But in the other hand, maybe my thought is that the implants that we get, it's kind of catalog for them. Like we are category, like it's kind of, we are a category. If you had a kind of implant, you belong to certain family.
Yeah, that's like we do with our cows. They have clips in the ear. The red clip belongs to Farmer James, and the yellow one to Farmer Smith. So they know which cow belongs to who. That's kind of what it is. Yeah, I think so. And that's why that's why Uru was so upset that the others took me, because they should not have taken me.
And you were given an explanation.
It's actually a family thing, like kind of we are divided by families. They can know according to your implant to which family, let's say, you belong.
Yeah, exactly. They should not have taken me. Yeah, but of course,
why did my implant
the dark ones. Pardon?
Do you know why did my implant maybe exploded when they tried to take it out?
Yes, I've had other people telling me that. No, what's his name? No. Yeah. Can't remember. I'm terrible with names. He works with Ben Hansen, and he checked me out. He checked me out. God, can't remember. Anyway, he takes implants when people get implants.
You talking Daryl Sims?
Daryl Sims, yeah. There, see, I'm so bad with names. Daryl Sims, when we were talking about that, and he said too that he has a lot of, at times when he takes them out, they just explode or just dissolve. as soon as they come out of the body where they're supposed to be, they just dissolve, because it's also a kind of security measurement for them. They don't want the others to find out their technology, basically,
They don't want mankind to have it either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
So
it was
it's
interesting with
defensive
Daryl Sims. I was there with Ben Hansen, and we were talking, and then he checked me out, and I said, I have this implant back here, and then he checked it, and his little apparatus there didn't do anything, and so Ben Hansen said, "Oh, that's nothing. It doesn't work." And then Daryl Sims says, "No," he says, because there was a metal detector, to detect it. He said, "This can be made out of a metal that we don't have on our planet, so our metal detector will not click on it."
Right.
So so that was no, he was right away. He said, "No, this is not. That's not what it is." So
Could be
anyway,
meteorites.
yeah, and he asked me if he can. He'll pay for the surgery. He said to have it taken out. I said no. I'm not going to have our doctors mess around with my brain. I'm going to end up a vegetable.
Daryl Sims and UFO Man Channel are great friends because we've had him on about 4 times. In fact, we interviewed him last week. The last interview we did was with Daryl Sims.
Oh, really? How cool is that? If you talk to him again, say hi from me.
I will definitely do so because I talked to him through email. So.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked today with Jim Lawrence, and he sends you his regards too.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I didn't talk to anybody today. Sorry.
We're all part of one big UFO phenomenon community, both abductees, contactees, and just people who have sightings. But I think sightings are the beginning of, in some cases, the beginning of some people's journeys, because my encounters began when I was about 4, and I only recently remembered them. And what's weird is I want to ask you, have you ever encountered a large black tarantula-like spider, 3.5 feet wide by 3.5 feet tall, as a non-human intelligence?
I haven't, not that I know of. When I was taken to the Galactic Federation, though, it was out of body, there was a huge kraken, a huge octopus. When I came up there and I was standing there and I was looking around, they gave me a human container too, because there you are out of body. So they had a human container where I can slip into. And that container was really cute because it was nice and slim. I didn't have all this extra poundage on me. But anyway, so I was standing there and I was looking around, and behind me, on the left side behind me, there was this huge octopus, kraken kind of octopus thing. It was nearly black. And I turned around and I looked at it, and we had eye contact. And so I took a couple steps towards it, and I said, and he said, "Welcome," very slow, "welcome to the Galactic Federation." And I said, "Thank you." And then I said, "Well, we have some of your species on our planet." He says, "Yes, I know." And I said, "Well, I'm sorry, we don't take better care of our waterways and oceans and things." He said, "Yes, that is a big problem."
Well, I was going to show you. This is the spider that I saw.
No, I haven't seen any of those. No.
A representation of the spider you saw.
Right. And it's also what Polly saw. But Polly's was bigger.
Oh, okay. No, I haven't seen any of those. I've seen praying mantises, of course, the big ones, that are
Mhm.
huge. And I talked to
Yeah.
them and had communications with them. Yes,
I hear they're
but
very
Yes, when
intelligent
I
and
was
very gentle.
taken for my craft, my experience, in my experience, there were little grays that did not address me at all, like they
mm-hmm.
ignored me
Yeah,
completely.
mm-hmm.
And only the praying mantis communicated with me. She
Mm-hmm.
was the one that told me now it's time to do your job. And so I understood I needed to go and take care of the women and the newborn babies that were there.
Mm-hmm.
So what's interesting is that through the praying mantis, I saw she had like a profound knowledge about this universe creation and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
DNA.
Yeah.
I did not feel scared or threatened. On the contrary, she felt like she has so much knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
about the
Yes.
universe and
Yeah.
DNA and chromosomes.
Yeah.
What do
She
you
has.
know about that?
I know. I just know they're very, very intelligent, extremely intelligent. They don't have any emotions or feelings, but they are extremely intelligent. So whatever comes from them is just really, how should I say, mechanical thing. That they decide they do this, and there's no. Um, she wouldn't talk to you and say hi. How are you doing or anything
No,
like
it's
that.
very
No,
technical.
no,
Yes,
no.
like she's
It's
the
just
boss. She just says
well,
what to do and that's it. Yes.
yeah, yeah. But the gray ones on our ship is interesting. The little gray ones that are about like a little over 3 feet high, um, they are kind of like um, half artificial intelligence, half biological. So and they get impulses. They say, "Bring me this and get this and clean up this," and then they do it, and then they just stand there against the wall basically
Yes.
and wait
Like
for the next
waiting
command.
for, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and then you have the ones that are maybe about 5 feet tall. They're very intelligent. And then you have the taller ones, and then of course the very tall ones. When they came and rescued me, that's the only time I've seen those really tall ones. But there are also taller ones that are uh, like, let's say, maybe 7 feet tall, and those are all around the ship, and also the half, like 5 foot tall ones. They're very interesting and very yeah.
I gotta ask you something. We need to go back to when the kids were playing with those golden balls,
Yeah,
right? When
those
I
were
was when I was very very young, I think about 9 years old.
mm-hmm.
Um, I was in my room and I woke up and there were a bunch of golden balls flying around my room that
They
looked
were
like
flying
this.
around. Oh yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah.
And I didn't have any clue what they were, but they seemed aware of my presence because when I moved, they would move
Mm-hmm.
away from me. But it happened for 3 days straight. And I wonder if I was actually in my room or if I was on a ship where they were showing me the balls.
I don't know.
That's so weird
Could be
because
very well be. Yeah,
when you brought up the balls, I had to bring that up because
yeah. It popped
it's
back into your mind, huh?
yeah, it only came out of my memory within the last 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and along with the spider too, I remembered it clear as day.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, the main issue that changed for you the past 2 years is you nearly died, and I wonder if that wasn't the triggering for your memories to start coming back.
it very well could have been. I nearly died
Mm-hmm.
last year, so
Mm-hmm. I wanted to tell you something else that happened to me that was really kind of cute, or interesting. They have MUFON conferences all over the place in the US. And so I used to go to the one in Sacramento, which was like a 3.5 hour drive from where I live. And also to this one to Sonoma sometimes. But anyway, the one in I was there in Sacramento to the one. And at the meeting, they had someone talk about his experience. It was a guy. He was about maybe 20 years younger than me, something like that, 18, 20 years. And he was talking about his experiences on the ship. And he said for him it was interesting because they could not block his brain. So he, from childhood on, he knew exactly when he was taken up and what he did up on the ship and this and that. So so after the meeting, we were just standing together and talking, and he came to me and he said, you seem very familiar to me. It's I don't know, maybe we met someplace. And he lived in Sausalito and I lived in Northern California. So he said, why don't you come and have dinner with us sometime? So one time I went down, and then he said, before you come, do you have any pictures of yourself in your 20s or 30s? And I said, yeah. He said, can you bring some? I said, yeah, I can do that. So I sorted out some pictures and I came down and he looked at the pictures, and there was a short time when I had contact lenses and I didn't have glasses on. And he saw that picture and he said, all of a sudden, he said, that was you, that was you, that was you. And I said, oh, that was me, what? I was really,
Yeah.
And he said, you're the one, he said, on the ship, when I was a little kid, we had, at times we had a human male and a human female to teach us. And you were the female. I said, I was? I had no idea, but he remembered because they couldn't block his memory. And so after the next hypnotic regression, I said, Yvonne, let's find out about it. And yes, for sure, they took me up. And I was teaching this group of kids. There was always like 6 or 8 kids. And I was teaching them. Things like that happened. But that was funny because he remembered me from the ship. And now at times I'm taking up on the ship at times. He has a workstation. They have a huge big area where they have different workstations and different beings are working on them. They have that, and he has one of the workstations there. And when we have to go through this room sometimes with Uru, and he's up there and I see him, then I run over and we hug each other, and Uru just stands there, shakes their head. Those humans, they always have to hug.
In regard to that, I do have a video clip from one of your interviews. Yeah, I'm going to play it real quick.
She hands me one of the bundles that had been sitting on those shelves. She puts it in my arms. And I look down at it. And it's a baby, swaddled in a blanket. It's a baby. And it has overly large eyes. And it's very skinny. But I look in those eyes, and my mother instincts, they kick in. And I know she's mine. She tells me to name her. And I do. I name her Petal. And I know she's my child. So then the beings escort me down away from them. And I realize then that the room also contains a bunch of small round white tables that just grow out of the floor. And there's little white chairs next to them that grow out of the floor. And I sit at one of them. And I notice that there's other people there, men and women, holding little bundles, looking at them. just loving them. And I realized that's why I'm there, is to love her, to give her the human love that I have, that I give to my own children. And I know what I'm doing is important and necessary. And I know that I've agreed to do this. I want to do this. I'm doing this for them because I am them. I've come here for a purpose. They told me, she told me, I am here to bring love, to show compassion, to help others who are having this experience, to understand that we're not victims. This is not happening to us. This is happening for us. And we are here for humanity.
I thought that was very powerful.
That's beautiful, and it feels so...
It's very moving.
It really reminds me my feelings too when I saw those hybrid children, and even, you know, that first boy that picked me up in the desert. It's amazing how they can awaken on us that motherhood instinct and that of deep love, you know, for those kids. That's just amazing.
Yeah.
So what happens with, you know, I'm trying to understand, because I didn't have the opportunity to go to the nurseries and go through what you went through. What happens with those hybrids afterwards? I imagine they go up and they get their jobs, and you know, but is this only for repopulation other planets, or do they have a task on planet Earth within the disclosure movement or something?
No. Okay, I'm gonna tell you. Let me start out. They hang in the sacks. They are put into the cribs. When they get bigger, there, a lot of them start sitting up and, you know, doing their thing. They're playing, and so that was last year, or maybe the year before. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm not sure anymore. I was taken up. And they were, Uru told me, it's just a very quick stop, but I got to show you something. You have never seen that before. So we went to the big room where the kids were in their cribs, and like I said, they were sitting up, and all of a sudden, all of them moved just up without the cribs, just the bodies moved up. There were about 100 of them in the room, and then the wall opened to the next room, and they all floated into the next room and were put into like seats. So they were sitting up in a real seat, just not in a crib anymore. And I've never seen that before. How they moved them all, you know. So they just float them all up and move them like that. And they all come down into their seats. That was so fascinating. I thought that's the way to do it.
They're all going to sit at their seats and not going to be just wandering around the class or the room or whatever.
But smart. It was, for me, it was, they didn't have to pick up each one and carry it over one by one. They just floated them all up and moved them all over like that.
So that was the next stage of the development.
Yeah, that was the next stage, you know, when after they were, the cribs were too small now. They were sitting up and playing and that stuff. So then they were able to go into the next stage, sitting in a seat, and then they were slowly, get bigger.
So what do they do after? Like, are they supposed to intervene in planet Earth somehow
No,
with disclosure, whatever that
no,
means?
no,
Or
no.
this is just for repopulation or what?
Okay, they in the beginning, or I don't know, the old while ago, they used to take the hybrids and put them on the planet in different locations, and they found out they could not adapt to the cultures. They would always stand out. They would always not fit in because they had no idea what was happening in the culture. So now they're doing it. They impregnate the women and have the hybrid babies being born here on the planet. So they grow up, and when they're teenagers or somewhere around that, then they're taken up, and then they're being introduced what they actually are. Because that way
Oh,
they fit into the. If you're born in Italy, you know, it's different than if you're born in the United States or in Africa. So uh, you're born into the culture then, and
Right.
so then you belong
oh,
here.
that's very
So
Can
interesting.
you
they changed that. Yes.
can you tell us what happened with your children?
Okay, I have four of them. Jaw, the boy, he is actually working on the ship that I've been taken to. I see him more often, and that is so. Yeah, he is studying the universe. He has a workspace. The whole wall is kind of like window into the space out. And then Kamu is one of the girls. She's more like me. She has more like a round face and dark hair. She is on another spaceship, and I saw her last year in the summertime. I was taken up, and all four of my children were together. That was so cool. I woke up so happy in the morning. I was just
I
laughing,
bet.
Oh,
having my and she is actually now the captain of the spaceship. And Septi and Rafti, the other two girls, are on another planet. They're making it livable, the planet. So Kamu actually, with her spaceship, brings in different plants and animals to start making the planet livable. And that's what the other twos are doing. So that's
It's
my four
terraforming.
kids up there. But uh, the the boy job, I see him more often, and wasn't last in the fall. I think I was taken up, and yeah, last summer I was taken up to the ship, and my white lady, she came and she said, we have to go someplace, and so we went to John's workspace, and I said, oh, this looks familiar. We come in, and there's, I don't know if I've shown you this, but there's this being standing beside my son here. Did I show you this one?
No.
No.
Um, this being is standing right beside him, tall, like maybe 6.5, 7 feet tall, very tall. And he looked at me. The eyes didn't have pupils. They were just like a black, kind of triangular slits. And he looked at me, and no pupils or nothing, and a huge wave of love came over me. It was so, I went, it was, it took my breath away. And so my son introduced me, and he said, he's in contact with this being. He's from a different dimension. He didn't even say the fifth dimension. He said from a different dimension, and he's in contact with him and his planet. And so he came to him and asked him if he had any information about a being from the third dimension. And my son said, "Yeah, I'll bring my mom up." you know. So, so that's why I was taken up to the ship, and so we were introduced, and his hands were kind of just like a flop. There was no fingers, just like a flop, and another smaller one inside here, like like pinchers. And he didn't have anything in his hands. And so he asked me if he could take the information from a being of the third dimension. I said, sure. So he asked me if I could, on my right arm, and he made a very strange flip movement with his one hand, and in the hand, kind of a machine thing materialized, an apparatus, and he put that around my right arm, and it didn't hurt or anything. I just felt movement, like a little massage or a vibration. And then after a while, he took it off and said, he thanked me very warmly and said, now he has all the information of a being from the third dimension.
Really?
And the interesting thing is his hair, that is not hair, those were sensors. They were always moving around. Yeah.
And do you know what, like the button, the yellow button that's in the suit? Do you know what's that?
The what?
Like the yellow round thing that he's got in the chest.
I don't know what that is. No, I have no idea.
Interesting.
It was interesting. Yeah, my son said, yeah, he's in contact with the other dimension and the other planet, and this guy, he came over and said he wanted to get some information of a being from the third dimension.
Barbara, do you get to see your children as will, or they decide when you get to see them back?
Do I see them for real? I don't know.
No, do you see them at will?
At will. Like, are you the one who decides when you see your kids, or they are the one who decide when you get to see your kids?
Oh, when I get to see my children?
Yes.
Yeah, like,
well, I'm sure they decided. I don't know how much I have influence on that. Because like I have to find out what happens under hypnosis. So I just can go to times when something happened that I know I was gone. I when I find marks on myself, or I have a feeling that last night I was definitely not here because I wake up happy or whatever. So I don't.
Do you only get abducted when you're in bed, or do you get abducted when you're sitting up or in your vehicle?
Yes, I've been taken. I went with my vehicle. I was in Northern California, and I came. My dentist was in Tijuana in Mexico because it was so much cheaper there, and I have 13 implants. So. And so I used to drive down and went to the dentist and then drive all the way back. One time on the way back, I went through San Diego, of course, and then LA, the whole LA mass thing there. Then you come over the mountains and down into the valley. And I remember 99 turning off. I was on I-5, 99 turning off. And the next thing I was thinking, not only then I have to gas up in the next 50, 60 miles. And I was thinking about that. And the next thing I realized, I'm near Stockton. It's a 3.5 hour drive forward.
Oh, yeah.
And under hypnotic regression, I said to Yvonne, I have to find out what happened there. I all of a sudden I was near Stockton. I said, how do I get here? That's impossible. And at that time, I still had no idea about my excursions up there.
Well, yeah, don't that take you through the grapevine, right? That take you through the grapevine, right?
Yeah, the grapevine. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've driven the grapevine many times. I'm in Southern California, so I know what you're talking about.
Oh.
Yeah, so going up to the grapevine and stuff like that, it's a steep grate and stuff too, right? And the thing of it is like,
Yeah, but
you know,
I came from
lots of
San
traffic
Diego. I
too.
came down
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah,
I came down. There's a lot of traffic always.
there's
Yeah,
tons of
on
traffic.
this
Yeah.
I-5. And
Oh,
when you
yeah.
come down the Grapevine into the valley, then 99 turns off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, going around the Sierras.
Yeah.
And I stayed on I-5, and because I was up to to Clearly, and then up to Northern California. And
Right. Yes.
so I took the 20 over from Sacramento, then over to where I lived. But anyway, so I came down that, and I remember coming down, the plan, everything was fine, and all of a sudden it says Stockton, has a big sign there, Stockton. And I was near Stockton. I said, how did I get here? I cannot daydream on I-5 for 3.5 hours. That's not possible, you know?
Yeah. No. There would be an accident. There would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So under hypnotic regression, I found out they took me with my car in bright daylight out of all the traffic. They picked me up, took me up with my car, and I was standing in a kind of a hangar there beside my car and waiting. And then I heard Uru say, "Stay there, and I'm coming." And on my right side, in that big room hangar thingy, there were 4 beings. There were 2 Pleiadians and 2 reptilians, and they were leaning over. There was like a round. I couldn't see any legs under, so I don't know. It was like a table, but I couldn't see anything holding it. But it was there, and it was lit up, and they were leaning over discussing a different planet. And I was standing beside my car, and I could hear them because it was telepathic, you know? Mm-hmm. And I could hear them. And I thought, oh, this is cool. I can hear what they're saying. and one of the reptilians, he noticed that I was linked into their conversation. And then he said, no. And they cut me off. And then Uru came, and she took me, and they actually took me to a room, and they put something. My left knee was always swollen, and I was supposed to have surgery on it. And so they put something on my left knee, and it was working, and it was like a massage sort of thing. It was knitting, and after a while they took it off, and then I came back home. The swelling was gone, and a few days later I had a pre-op for the surgery, and for Ukiah, and the doctor said, "Oh, the knee looks great. We don't have to do a surgery now. It looks good. How does it feel?" So it feels fine. And I'm still walking on it.
That's good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So Barbara, can you tell us where you can be found online and things of that nature?
Your books and all that. Your books.
Well, I have my email, and then what else do I? Let me see.
Do you have a website or a channel?
No, I don't have my own channel or my own website. No.
Okay.
You have a book, right?
Pardon? Yeah,
your book.
I wrote a book.
You have that. Yes.
Yeah, but that's in German. I haven't found anybody
there's people out there that speak German, so you should let them know.
Yeah, that's my book, and but I'm trying to have it published in English, but I haven't found a publisher yet. So if you know a publisher, let me know. Send them my way.
We'd like to read your book.
That needs a translation. That needs a translation as soon as possible.
Yeah, people in the world need to know your information. If you're willing to give out your email, feel free. Because then people can contact you.
Yeah, definitely. They can contact me. I would be happy to that. My email is just Barbara, all small letters, Barbara.EBERHARDT@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But Eberhard is spelled with a DT at the end.
Yeah.
Yes. Perfect. We will put that anyway in all the references so people
Yeah.
will know how to reach you.
Mm-hmm.
And well, do you have like a message for all the women that are going through hybridization programs and feel scared or even angry that this is happening at them? What
Yeah.
do you have to say?
Also, all the men.
And men,
All
of
the
course,
men, yes.
yeah, sure. Sorry, Tim. I didn't mean to
Yeah.
leave you aside. But yeah, for everyone, in general. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, some of the women that I met that had their babies taken, they were so mad and upset. How dare they? How can they go against my will? And how can how dare they do that? I didn't agree to that, and they went against my will, and they just took me, and they were all upset about it. And I told them, I said, listen, one thing, what do? We go into the jungle, pick up the monkeys and apes from the trees and put them in cages and do our experiments with them. Um, and they do the same with us. Basically, we are the lesser species. And so, how can you have the two different judgments? Just because it's you, we do the same thing to
Yes.
the lesser species.
Right.
And
We
so
do.
I cannot, I cannot. And also, I have to say one thing. I know that I agreed to this on the soul level. My soul agreed to this to come to reincarnate now, because basically I was told I have a very old soul, so I don't really need to incarnate anymore. But I decided at this point to incarnate, to open up humanity to this whole new level and help doing that. So that's my
You
mission here. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for
kind
opening
of
us
repeat this
opening
decision.
us us
Yeah.
up.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
This has been great. I truly enjoyed my time here. Thank you.
Yeah, we want to thank everybody who participated online, everybody who watched live, because this was a very important event. This was the first live stream on UFO Man Reloaded. And I want to thank Barbara Eberhardt for coming here this evening. We had some difficulties, but we worked through it. She's a very
Yes.
patient lady, and I give her all the kudos available on the planet. So thank you very much.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for listening to my story, and I can just tell you what happens to me. And I find it out after hypnotic regression. If I find new marks on me, what's going on?
Yeah.
So
Well, we
It's
look
everyone,
really
forward to
fascinating.
hearing more from you.
Okay. Take care. Thank you
Barbara,
to everybody for listening.
please hang around backstage for a short bit, Barbara.
Okay.
Okay.
We
Anyways,
love it very much. Thank you so much. This was really a pleasure and honor, and I feel so related to your story. So thank you so much for being here, really.
Pinnacle of Earth, do not fear us. We are only here to help you ascend to a higher frequency. When you do, you will become one with our intergalactic community.
Travelers of Earth, elevate your feed. For sightings, secrets, and the truth beyond the stars, follow UFO Man. Smash that like, hit subscribe, and ring the bell to join the flight.
You say you want